situated here, give ourselves a composition that we can be proud of. Something like that. Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to those of you who showed up early. Love to see that. I appreciate it. I'll wait just 1 minute for everybody to get connected here. If you happen to be watching this on replay after the fact, you may want to fast forward just about 1 minute or so. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. Seems that the technology gods are being nice to us today, and we are connected. This is a reschedule of what I tried to do yesterday. And the weather is just as beautiful. It's in fact perhaps even more quiet in this square than it was yesterday, which is great because that's what I was hoping to convey to you all. So as you can hear, we've got the water flowing on the fountain and the birds chirping and the sun dappling across the limestone, which is what we all come for when we think of springtime in Paris. Ricky Beltran says, looks great. Thank you, I appreciate that. So let's jump right into it, folks. And I want to remind you again, if you're watching live, one great way to support this project is you can send a super chat my way and it'll pop up on my screen and I'll give you a shout out and a thank you because that is much appreciated. And if you're not a Patreon member, you can find that link in the description as well as the link to my Paris merch store. And so a lot of different ways, my PayPal address is down there and a lot of different ways that you can help support the cause and help me continue this very passionate project of mine. Nancy says, such a lovely view. Jennifer Robinson is here. Thanks everybody for showing up on this rescheduled episode number 112. So I call this one a secret springtime square in the 9th. We are in the 9th arrondissement on the right bank of Paris. And this discovery back when I found this spot was really, it still goes down as one of my favorite discoveries of the right bank. And it's called the Cité de Trévise. Cité de Trévise, and we'll talk a little bit about that name in a second. But we're in the 9th arrondissement. There's this quiet spot here sandwiched between the very busy areas of the Gare du Nord and the Grand Boulevard and the Passage Couvert and the Musée Grévin and even we're sort of in the region of the opera as well, the Opera Garnier. So it's really quite, this is what we love about Paris. This is what the city does so well, is that despite the commotion, you can always find these little nooks. And this is in fact used to be a private square with gates on either end of each street. There are two streets that you can access this from the north and south, and there used to be private gates that wouldn't allow anybody in, but those were removed a long time ago. So the Cité de Trévise here is named after the Duc de Trévise. He was a military commander of the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars, and he made quite a name for himself. He lived in a mansion that was nearby. In fact, it still is. It's known as the Hôtel Bonny, B-O-N-Y, but it was where the Duc de Trévise lived particularly in the early 1800s, and it's named after him. The original promoter of this square, of the Cité de Trévise, or one of the promoters, called it, and I quote, the most pleasant retreat amidst the noises of business and pleasure, which I think is the best way to put it. Now this fountain that we're looking at here, and it doesn't get a lot of sunlight this time of year, as you can see, but I'll do my best to give you a view of the fountain. But it is by a sculptor called Francisque Duret. And he did a lot of work in Paris. For example, he's got work in Les Invalides and the Church of La Madeleine and even Versailles. But notably, a lot of you lovers of the Fontaine Saint-Michel, right there in the Latin Quarter, that beautiful cast of characters of the bronze of Saint-Michel himself with his sword pointing up to heaven, stepping down on the devil, all of that was sculpted by this same gentleman by the name of Francisque Duret. And there are 3 toga-clad nymphs in bronze, which is how I like my nymphs. I like them to be bronzed and toga-clad, my personal preference. This period was the Restoration, and so we're going to see some architecture from that period of La Restauration, when they were restoring the Bourbon monarchy post-French Revolution. And before I forget, while we're here, I just want to show you where I had the tripod set up. First of all, speaking of super chats, a little donation of a 50-cent piece here, but I decided we'll leave that for somebody who might need it a little more than we do. So there's just, you come here and you find money on the ground. That's how magical it is. But if I want to zoom in here, and what you'll see here are fossilized creatures. And I've mentioned this once or twice before, but it's a reminder that the stone that they quarried to build Paris is between 40 and 45 million years old. This is all prehistoric stone. So it's just, I always get a kick out of that when we think about how old Paris is. In fact, you could, if you want to be cheeky about it, you could make a, you could describe Paris as a prehistoric city because most of the stone used to build it is from that period. It's all many, many millions of years old. So let me give you the once over here of the Cité de Trévise. This is pre-Haussmann. So this is before all of the rules about architecture being uniform and everything being similar. So you have, for that reason, you have a lot of different styles here. Some nice reliefs there. And these are all residential apartment buildings. What happened during that period of the restoration of the Bourbon monarchs, you had a big boom of construction here in the 9th arrondissement, notably for the hôtels particuliers, the private mansions, and also some very high-class buildings like this. This all dates to mostly the 1830s, 1840s. And it's considered a style of, let me grab my bag here. That would be a shame if I forgot my backpack. You leave a 50-cent piece on the ground and you lose a backpack in the process. The bad trade-off. So this is described as Neo-Renaissance. And let me show you, if you can see up above these balconies, there are some beautiful Corinthian columns. You can see the tops of those quote-unquote columns embedded in the side of the wall. And that is, those are decidedly very Renaissance in style. Let me try to show you this one without getting hit by a car. And the brick as well could be considered a Renaissance affectation of sorts. Nice little ironwork there on the windows. Zoom back out. Let me show you the name of this place, the sign, for those interested. Cité de Trévise. You can see named after this gent, the Duke, and also a Maréchal de France. Let's zoom in on these little beauties. Thanks, John MacArthur. I can see that in the comments. I appreciate the support. Hope you're all enjoying your Sunday. If you're just joining live, this is the 9th arrondissement. Normally, you know, a district with a lot of commotion and a lot of activity via the train stations and the opera house and the Grand Boulevard, etc. But we're in this quiet little square. Look at these corbels underneath the balcony there. Just delicious. Oh yeah. Hey, Andrea Miles is joining us. Hi, Andrea. It's great to have you here. Thanks, everybody, for joining this rescheduled episode. And then there's an awning to die for here. Check this thing out. Love the shape of this. Thank you, Bonnie. I see you there in the comments. I appreciate the support. That's great. So I really want to give this awning the once-over, because the shape of it is rather unique. It's quite tall and thin. It's beaten up a bit and broken in some areas, but so good. John Woods has an interesting comment. He says it looks like abyss. Look at that beauty. So it's fun. I mean, we could spend an hour here just looking for all the angles and the perspectives. And Onward. Let's have another look back towards the toga-clad ladies and the little garden. As you can see, the sun doesn't come through here too much, at least this time of year. I would assume in the summer, when the sun's higher in the sky, you probably get a little bit more light. But look at that. That's a good view of the nymphs. So most of the people you see here, of course, they're the residents. But everybody else is just passing through. Which makes it such a perfect little spot to enjoy the quiet side of the night. Oh, there's a very interesting dog here. Madame, je peux filmer votre chien? Merci.
Il a toujours été photographié.
Il est beau.
Il s'appelle Elvis.
Il s'appelle comment?
Elvis.
Elvis. Hi Elvis, how are you? Comment ça va, petit chien? Oui, ça va bien au soleil.
Spitlou.
Comment?
Spitlou.
Spitlou.
La race.
Ah, d'accord. It's a
Et lui, c'est Elvis.
it's a race of dog that I don't
Voilà, tu
recognize.
seras avec les fleurs. Il y a 8 jours, elles étaient belles.
Ah, c'est vrai? Oui. Bah,
Juste à côté, hein.
elles sont toujours beaux, oui.
Mais avant, il y avait
Elles-
rien. Il y avait
elles sont
plein de
mal.
broussailles. Ils
Merci.
ont quand même planté plein de choses à la mairie du 9e.
Hmm.
Hein, c'est beau maintenant.
Ah oui, c'est très beau.
Et des fois, ça... Ah bah, tout aujourd'hui. Des fois, coule plus.
Ça dépend des jours. Hein.
Oui, oui, ça dépend qui est aux manettes.
Je vous remercie, madame. Bonne journée à vous.
Oui. Je devrais être vite dans les côtés.
I wanted to show you this here. Thanks, Lisa, for the support there. I really appreciate that. We've got a statue niche up here that would have had a statue originally. Sometimes I'm a bit sad that a lot of these statues have been removed over the years. But you can see there's a face above. So again, I really like this neoclassical feel. Laura says, I love when Corey speaks with the locals. Thanks, Laura. Although I admit there were a couple of things I didn't quite understand. She was telling me the name, the breed of her dog. And because I'm not a dog person, my feeble brain could not comprehend what she was saying. But that's all right, you know, you just move on. It's all in a day's work when you're trying to pick up a language. Thank you, Lynn, for the support. And thank you to David Dubois, so generous of you all. Again, if you're just joining, we're in the night. This is called the Cité de Trévise from 1840, post-revolution during the restoration of the Bourbon monarchs, which was really, you know, you got to admit, it was a golden age for Paris. It was a rebuilding time post-revolution, and you had the sense of grandeur coming back. And you know, not everybody was for the revolution. There were plenty of royalists who were supporting the Bourbon family and wanted to see them come back, wanted to see Paris prosper again in that way, for better or worse. Oh, let's zoom in here because this is really nice. Margaret says those flowers against the stone buildings are gorgeous. Oh yeah, thanks Leslie T for reminding, you know, everybody, if you could hit the thumbs up on this video. I know it's kind of, you know, all the YouTubers say that, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I really try to avoid being that annoying. But the truth is, if you click that thumbs up, it'll help YouTube to spread this video around. Just have a quick little peek through here. Is it going to focus? No. Well, sorry. You get the idea. There's a little courtyard back there. Actually, what if I zoom? Maybe I can trick it into doing. Yeah. Well, there we go. See, I can be clever sometimes. I can figure stuff out once in a while. So it's so funny, you know, it's so common in Paris. You see these beautiful buildings from the outside, the facades, and then you don't even realize what kind of courtyards or interior gardens they might have in addition to the beauty that they have when they walk out their door. So this family who just left this building that we're in front of, every morning they come out to greet the world, starting with this. Can you imagine that? Let's hope they're happy. John Wood says that courtyard looked better blurred. Well, take your pick, John. You can freeze frame whichever version you prefer. Sometimes things do look better blurred, including my own face. I whenever I see myself on camera, I'm thinking, ugh, can't they just kick it out of focus a little bit? All right, well, maybe we'll zoom in on the lions here, the doors. Yeah, I just give someone credit. So Cameron Carr says, if that family isn't happy in the mornings, I know some freaks who would gladly take over the apartment. Thank you, Lisa Chorney. She says, to your occasional cleverness. I appreciate the support. So this is the dark side of the fountain. But isn't that kind of nice with the shadow of the tree coming through? I like it. I'm down. And I'll see your fountain and sun-dappled trees and raise you one Parisian bicycle. Oh, thank you, Mike Slater. That's extremely generous of you. Thank you so much, buddy. You're an amazing supporter. And I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. One last look before we move on, because of course we have some other stuff to see. We'll say our goodbyes to the Cité de Trévise. So perhaps Google this one and pop it into your notebook next time you're in the 9th arrondissement. You can reach this pretty easily from the Grand Boulevard or the Gare du Nord area. So like I said, I should explain. Thanks, John Woods, I appreciate you. He says technology works today. So to the north, you've got one street that'll take you that way. And then there's one street here that leads to the south. I've got some doors to show you. We've got a little mini door tour to do here. Right here at number 8. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh. Zoom in. Danielle says, yay, doorage. Always time for doorage. Just the color of that wood. Delish. Delish. And then across the way. Now we've definitely, those of you who are longtime watchers of this series, you know what our best guess is as to who these two characters are. I'll let someone pop it into the comments. One of you smarty pants who's been paying attention. We've got a man and a woman's head here. Ah, Elizabeth Diamond's here. Hey, Chip Tidwell, it's great to have you here, buddy. Margaret says, please tell us the story again. So have you heard of the old French lovers Héloïse and Abélard? They've been described as the French version of Romeo and Juliet, but it was a true story in the Middle Ages in Paris. These two star-crossed lovers who ended up getting separated and never to see each other again and write beautiful letters back and forth to each other. So the theory is that during this Neo-Renaissance period, excusez-moi, madame, during this Renaissance period, they started to bring back some of those ideas, and these doors, the ironwork, incorporated the lovers of Héloïse and Abélard. That's at least one theory. And they are usually, in this case, you'll see them facing generally toward each other. So there's a whole story between these two. If you don't know it, you should really Google it. Look into that story of Héloïse and Abélard. It's quite a tale, and a true story as far as we know. They're buried in Père Lachaise, or so they say. Beautiful tomb. And look at this beauty. This is number 6. Oh, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Give it to me. Thank you to Serge, who says, thank you for the wonderful tours of Paris. I appreciate the support. Lynn Sakai says, enjoy a cafe creme and a sweet treat. Hopefully we can share in person kind of soon. I hope so, kind of soon. I really hope so. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth Diamond, for the support as well. I see y'all there. I'm feeling the love. Thanks, everybody. Oh, it's Yesenia's birthday. Joyeux anniversaire, joyeux anniversaire, joyeux anniversaire, Yesenia. And Jerry a little bit too. Happy birthday to you. I switched to English at the end. I don't know why. We'll blame it on Jerry. Thanks, Ricky, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Man, these doors. And then even the ones that aren't too extravagant here, you can still see a lot of great ornamentation happening here. Again, with the Corinthian-style capitals. Fits in nicely to our Neo-Renaissance theme today. This is an old gate that I would assume would be part of a grand estate or a wealthy home, but it's a little run down now. It seems like they're doing some work and it's clearly been broken up into apartments. But what's nice is they've got these two little I don't even know the correct term for it, but it's sort of like a vase. Half one there, and I'll show you the other one on the other end. Right there. So this whole area is called the Cité de Trévise. I wanted to show you the ironwork. This is a Thai restaurant, as you can see, but it's worth zooming in on the ironwork. Maybe even more. Remember, if you've got a decent connection where you're watching this, consider in the setting this to 1080p resolution. Cameron Carr says, if that gate is run down, please don't look at my neighborhood in Toronto. Yeah, I guess run down is a relative term. Oh, sorry, before I forget. This will be en contre-jour, it'll be backlit, but hopefully you can still make out there's just some lovely corbel work there. Remember this great debate that we had of whether those things under the balconies are called corbels or consoles? After a little bit more research, I'm more convinced that the corbel is the correct word. Consoles, sometimes they're used for furniture and other decorative elements, but when they're embedded in a wall like that as part of the structure, quite often they'd be called corbels for anybody who cares at all about that. So as you can see, we're on the Rue Richer. And this is subtle, this is small, but I just thought we'd meditate on that. And this, clearly they're doing some renovations and whatnot, but I wanted to show you that the archway that leads into that courtyard is lovely. Yeah, Yesenia, it is a very beautiful day in Paris. We've had some beautiful sunny days. By the way, I could have almost gotten away with calling this an always look up tour. As you've noticed, we've seen a lot of details up above our heads today. These are some hotel lamps that are not historic, they're fairly modern, but I still love the perspective of them. Yeah. Oh, and the reflection. We get a two-for deal here. Nice. Always look for the reflection. That's rule number 2 after always look up. So nice, so nice. And we've got a modern awning over there. Another decorative building. I don't know if it's perhaps from roughly the same period, but hopefully you can make out we got some beautiful lions there. Let me zoom in. Some lions with their paws are tied, they're taxidermied lions, so to speak, with their paws tied in a knot, almost like a scarf under their heads. And I've seen that before. And then we can see those heads that are pretty classic mascaron style heads, similar to what you might see on the Pont Neuf, for example. But one thing that I do want to point out is, let me get out of traffic. Hopefully you can make out on your screens that this guy's winking. This is the only winking mascaron on this building. Hey Janet, she's asking where I am. I'm in the 9th. We're in the 9th arrondissement. Getting a good shoulder workout today. I'm happy about that. As you can see, this is a pharmacy now. And all of that beauty wraps all the way around the corner there. Sometimes the balconies are super tiny, but they're still, it's enough, you know? It's good enough. We wouldn't complain, right? Let me take us down this way. There's another quiet little square that runs parallel to the one that we were just in. As you can see, by the way, it is not a time to come to Paris and enjoy the storefronts. That is not one of Paris's strong points at this moment in time. It will be one day. Leslie confirms, yes, that balcony is enough for her. Now I wanted to show there's a synagogue here, and I don't want to film the gentleman in front of it, but it's called the synagogue Rashi, and you can notice you can see it's very, very austere and very stark. There's zero ornamentation. But it makes sense when you realize that it was built just after World War II and the Holocaust. So it's very, very just straight up concrete. And there are the doors. Don't want to bother the churchgoers outside, but I thought that was interesting. Very, very discreet, very somber, which is very indicative, very common of that period just following the war. Everything was meant to make you feel sort of uneasy. There wasn't any decoration or embellishment in those buildings or those memorials. Here's a door worth noting. And I'll tell you where we are in a minute. Oh yeah, I see some of you in the comments are talking about the graffiti. Yeah, it's never particularly fun to look at. But that's just the protection at night, and during the day they roll up those metal curtains and you don't see it at all. So hopefully you can hear it's again gotten rather quiet. Sorry. This is an L-shaped street called the Rue Ambroise Thomas. Like Ambrose Thomas. I don't know why I anglicized it. Ambroise Thomas. And this right here, to me, I don't have confirmation of this, but it seems like it would have been a fountain. You can see the mascaron at the top, and then this is all grown in. But this to me screams former wall fountain, or well where you would get fresh water. That's nice there. We've got a couple of these on the corners. Let me zoom in. And then look at the balcony that wraps all the way around. I love that. And another one up top too. Check this out. Shoulder workout. Man, it's just so delicious, all these views. And then you've got a similar thing on the opposite side. Let me show you. So I'll just give you the lay of the land here of the Rue Ambroise Thomas. So we came from there, and it's an L-shaped street. So that is how we're going to exit. Thanks, Terry Lightfoot. Appreciate the support. me zoom out here. Perfect sunlight today, right? Man. Terry says, woohoo, I figured out the super chats. I'm so glad you did, Terry. Believe me, I am glad. Speaking of reflections, is this going to come through on the screen? Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's quite nice. Get the perspective right. Yes. Put it in the center of the screen, Corey. You dope. Love it. Thank you, Mark. I see the support there. I appreciate you. So this is all reflection. What is actually inside here, by the way? You're barely going to see anything. It's a staircase, people. That's all you need to know. Particularly on a Sunday, you can come here and get absolute tranquility. Thank you, Nancy Brisson. She sends me a little "you are amazing" emoji. I appreciate that, Nancy. I appreciate you. Wonderful. Ooh, so for a little bit of dreaming, can you make out that there's a nice big sunlit room there with plants? Almost like some sort of studio space. Oh, so good. All right, onward. We're gonna go. I got a few more things to show you here. Thank you, Kristen. She says, thank you for persevering, Corey. Loving the tour today. Thank you. I appreciate you, Kristen. Or Kirsten, sorry, I always make that mistake. I do it out of love, Kirsten, I do it out of love. So you can see here the back side of this beautiful sign giving us the name of the street. And of course, I'll show you the front of it. Yes, that's how you enter a street right there. Oh, gorgeous. Thanks, Kate, so much for the support. I appreciate it. Wow, wow, wow. $1897 is what that text tells us. Awesome. So now this brings us on to the Rue Faubourg Poissonnière. I think this is the border of the 10th arrondissement, so technically we could say we've changed districts, but it's pretty much the 9th. This is fun for any of you art history fans. The painter Corot, who I'm a huge fan of, born in Paris, July of 1796. He died in this house in 1875. Thanks, Elijah, or Alicia. So nice to be back with you, Corey, is what she says. So Corot died in this very building. If you're not familiar with his work, definitely check out his Wikipedia page for starters, and then go from there, really. I'm not a snob when it comes to research. I'll start with the Wikipedia, and then I'll just start clicking links.
Vous cherchez les choses. Je vais vous dire ce
Oui.
que je connais dans le coin. Rue
de la Tour des Dames, vous avez la maison où est né Bizet. Vous connaissez?
Oui, oui, je connais.
Ah, vous êtes
Ah oui, c'est magnifique. Oui, je suis en train de...
Et alors, rue Saulnier, vous verrez une petite plaque où habiter un petit peu Offenbach.
Ah, Offenbach, oui, oui, d'accord.
Et alors là, un petit peu plus haut, vous traversez rue de Paradis, et vous avez sur un immeuble, c'est pas très loin de ce côté-là, un poète allemand.
Ah oui, d'accord.
Ah,
Oui.
je
Il y avait
lis
tellement d'artistes dans ce quartier à l'époque.
Oui, alors surtout du côté de Notre-Dame de Lorette.
Oui, c'est ça, Place Saint-Georges, etc.
Énormément,
Oui,
par là.
c'est vrai.
Voilà.
Et moi, j'ai une petite anecdote pour vous. Juste sur le coin là, ce bâtiment sur le coin, c'était la famille Sanson.
Je sais.
Ah, vous savez.
Je sais, j'habite là tout.
Ah, d'accord. Bon, voilà. Merci, madame.
Pas très gai, ça.
Non, pas très gai, c'est vrai. Bonne journée à vous, madame. So this is just a fancy door that I was showing you while this lady was telling me a little bit about artists who lived in this area. She mentioned the composer Bizet, who I mentioned in one of our episodes, and then Offenbach as well. And then I gave her, at the end, I gave her a fun fact about this building here that I'm going to share with you. And she's like, oh yeah, I already knew that. So it's really cool when some of the residents know about the history of their neighborhood. Sometimes maybe we assume they don't. But I always like, and those are the people who know are the people who just randomly stop me on the street when I'm doing these things. And they are more than happy, even without me looking at them or asking them anything, they are more than happy to share their knowledge. This is a former hôtel particulier called the Hôtel Titon, and it's from 1776. So, birth year of the good old USA. Now this is a straight up like Ebenezer Scrooge Christmas Carol type knocker, isn't it? You know what? I'm going against my better judgment here, and I'm going to show you some doors that aren't amazing, but they just call to me in some way. And there's even some construction in front. But I want to just show you that these are beautiful in a different kind of way. They're subtle, but I like them. It's been a while since I fondled anything on camera. And I like, call me crazy, but I actually like this temporary red bumper because of the complementary colors. Oh, hopefully you find that interesting. Another grand facade here. And the grand facade so soon will burn. Without a noise, without my pride, I reach out from the inside. Again, I can't sing with these masks, I apologize. In your eyes, the light, the heat in your eyes, the heat in your eyes. I see the doorway of 1,000 churches, the resolution of all the fruitless searches. Oh, I see the light and the heat. Okay, I'll stop. So you get the idea, there are a lot of doors here. And I want to share one more thing for you before we switch to the tour extension for the Fryes on Facebook. I get so lost sometimes. Days pass and this emptiness fills my heart. That is one, by the way, technically one of the best songs ever, ever, ever. In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel. Check it out. Okay, so this last building here, we are on the corner of the street Rue Papillon. Let me back up a little bit. Lisa says keep going. Lisa always wants me to keep singing because she's a singer herself. So this corner building here, where the previous building once was, here at this spot, was the building of a rather infamous family known as the Sanson family, spelled S-A-N-S-O-N. And the Sanson family was a long line of executioners, notably guillotine executioners during the Revolution. And just like generation after generation, it was handed down from father to son. And so in the previous building that was on this corner, starting in the early 1700s, you had the Sanson family. And in this very spot, or in this previous building, a baby was born called Charles-Henri Sanson, who was the guy who would grow up to execute not only Louis XVI at Place de la Concorde via guillotine, but also Danton and Charlotte Corday, if you're familiar with that story, when she murdered Marat in the bathtub. So the building that once stood on this corner is where that family lived for many, many years during that. Apparently, when this gentleman, Charles-Henri, when he executed Louis XVI, he was not particularly happy to do it. He was just sort of doing his job, and it was kind of left a bad taste in his mouth, so to speak. So much so that I understand it was his last execution that he ever took part in, and he delegated to his assistants the following guillotine beheadings that had to be done. Because imagine that. Imagine being the guy who not only you're chopping off heads all the time, sometimes probably dozens per day, not to get too gruesome about it. How do you even sleep at night? And then when you're asked to actually kill the king in front of throngs of screaming people, that's got to mess with your head a little bit. Now, originally this street right here, to add to that story in a way, you could say, was called the Rue d'Enfer for many, many years, or the Street of Hell, the Rue d'Enfer. And it was meant to match up with this street right here, which is called the Rue de Paradis, or the Street of Paradise. So that was clearly set up intentionally, where the city planners, pre-revolution, had this street here called Hell Street, and it would meet Heaven Street and make its way there. So this is still called the Rue de Paradis, Heaven Street. But they changed the name of Hell Street because the residents eventually got tired of it. Beautiful sky today, my goodness. So when they changed the name from Hell Street, they needed to change it to something else, and they changed it to Rue Bleue, or Blue Street. And I read, preparing for this episode, I came across a very interesting story, I hope it's true, that one of the kings, the Duc d'Orléans, you know, the guy who built the Palais Royal gardens and the arcades and whatnot, he was a cousin to Louis XVI during the Revolution, for example. The Duc d'Orléans had a mistress in this area who lived here, and apparently she had beautiful blue eyes. And so because he had the power to change the name of this street, he told her, honey, because I'm such a fan of your beautiful blue eyes, I'm going to call this street in your neighborhood, I'm going to call it Blue Street, Rue Bleue. And I hope that anecdote is true because I like it. It's very romantic. Although, I guess if you want to be more of a cynic, you could say it wasn't a romantic story for the poor guy's wife. I think he was married at the time. You know, there's always a dark side to every anecdote. If you dig enough into history, you're always going to find something that's not so pleasant. Just as a quick note, we are actually now at the northern end of exactly where we started. This will lead you to the Cité de Trévise. You can actually see a little bit of the trees there where the fountain is. So we've come around full circle here. We just made a little loop. I don't like to see so much pain, so much wasted, and this moment keeps slipping away. When I want to run away, I drive off in my car. But whichever way I go, I come back to the place where you are. Speaking of corbels, look at this cute little one right there with his little shadow. Look at you with your little shadow. That is a very modest decoration above a door, but I love it. Oh, I didn't know that, Yesenia. Are you talking about the same song? She said it was covered as a duet. I have no idea what this is, but we're going to see. There we go. Kenny says, Corey, your singing's great. You should put out an album. You know what? I should put out a novelty album where it's just me trying to sing through a mask while I'm walking down the street. I just feel like sharing everything. Remember I told you that the Cité de Trévise was named after the Duc de Trévise because he lived nearby in a mansion? Well, we can't see it here, but at the end of this alleyway, just around to the right, is his former home, the Hôtel Particulier, where the Duke would have lived. And today it is still a very fancy building, but I think it's used by, like communication agencies and various organizations use it as office space. This door was open the other day when I was researching this episode, and I was lucky enough to get back there towards the gate and get a view of the mansion, and I took some fun photos there, but alas, it's not open today. Or is it? No, it's not. Sorry. This is a post office today, but it used to be a much older version of a post office. So let me show you some great mosaics here left over from those days. And then, I don't know why this always tickles me, but telegraphs. Love that. I love reminders. I love to have reminders that you used to have to go and send a telegraph. That's so cool. Reminds me of Downton Abbey. Remember that opening scene of Downton Abbey when they're getting the Titanic news? Spoiler alert. In case you didn't know, the Titanic sank. So this is nice too. Look, we have these 4 niches with statues. Can I zoom more? Oh yes, I can zoom more. You can always zoom more. Look at that. Now you got to always look up. Because it's so easy to miss these. I missed them several times walking through here. Lori says, hit that like button. Like and subscribe, everybody. Share with your friends. It is true. Click that little thumb. It doesn't cost anything, and it'll help YouTube spread the word. Okay, we're going to finish up. I'm just going to throw you a quick glance of the Square Montolon, which actually, they once found an entire, see this beautiful square surrounded by this architecture here? That's a park. They once found an entire woolly mammoth skeleton underground here. I really like this place. Again, we're just a few minutes from the Gare du Nord, but we're deep enough into the 9th and 10th arrondissements that you can still find a very residential feeling. Although there happens to be, a pretty busy boulevard, as you can see. But that's the Square Montolon. And I think we'll end with that view. I want to thank you all for joining me. Thank you for understanding when I have technical difficulties and I have to cancel. I don't like to do it. I only do it when I have to. But I'm glad that we could make this work today. Now, if you are a Patreon supporter and you're in our Facebook group, we're going to pop over there in about 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes this time. Go use the restroom, grab yourself a beverage, because I got to go unlock my bike. And I think what we'll do as a tour extension today, I'll just ride my bike around and we'll enjoy some of this beautiful sunlight in the 9th arrondissement. So if that sounds good to you, I will meet you all over there for a private extension of this. And I want to thank you so much for the super chats and the support and the understanding, and for those who defend my honor online when you deem it necessary. I'm really touched by all of that. You are all absolutely wonderful. I'm lucky to have you. And I know you have options of what to watch when you want your Paris fix. And I'm very glad that you came over my way today. I appreciate that. It does not go unnoticed. Oh yeah, I see we got 158 likes on this video. Well done, folks. Well done. Okay, everybody, in about 10 minutes, meet me over in our Cafe Chats group on Facebook. And I'll just tool us around on the old bike and we'll see what we can find. Thanks, everybody. I will catch you on the next episode. If you can't bring yourself to Paris, and I know you can't, I will keep bringing it to you as best I can. Have a lovely rest of your day. Take care of each other and take care of yourselves. And I'll catch you on episode 113. Bye-bye.